What is good, rookies? Welcome back to Locker Room. I am your host and your favorite Kansas City girl, Kennedy Bright. And as always, what's said in the locker room stays in the locker room. Get your playbooks ready, guys. What is good, rookies? Welcome back to another episode. This week, you guys, I am here to give you guys episode 30. I'm here to keep my promise and bring it to you, but I will be honest, I am a little bit on one right now. I'm a little bit wired. I'm a little bit anxious, and I've got some things I need to take care of tonight, some little conversations I need to be had. And just honestly, I'm a little distracted, to be honest. That's really what it is. I'm distracted. But I wanted to bring you guys this episode because I want to make the commitment to post consistently. So I said, you already wrote the script. Like, let's get into it. Let's give it to the girls. But honestly, yeah, I'm not going to speak too much on it right now, but we probably will one day. Okay, once it's solved. Let me not speak on things that aren't handled. If you are watching on YouTube or on Spotify podcast, you probably see my hair. What do you guys think of the highlights and the cut? You probably can't see the layers in the hair, but anyways, it's cute. I like it. I love it. We have our makeup on because, I'm trying to present my best self on all my platforms this year. I do also need to record some sports videos today too after we do this, but I want to get this in. If you can hear the little shh in the background, I'm so sorry, you guys. It is raining. I can hear it, and I don't know when it's going to stop, but I want to give you guys this episode, so I apologize. But let's get into it. This week's episode, we are discussing building a roster, having a roster. And what I think is so funny is I do this every season, every year. We talk about a roster building, and I feel like I don't really stick to it that much, but this year I have to. And also every year I kind of learn new skills. Oh my God. I learn new things, new techniques, new things to have when it comes to building my roster. Excuse me. So we're going to get into that today. We're going to discuss everything from your franchise players, where to find them in, to build the roster. We're going to get into it, girls. All right, let's go. So first topic we're going to hash out is, why do you need a roster? And honestly, you need a roster because you need to be dating multiple men at the same time. And one thing I know for me is I'm 26, so I don't have a lot of time left. Time is ticking. I gotta knock out as many birds at one time as possible. So I need to be dating multiple men. I don't have time to waste my time dating one man for 3 to 6 months. It doesn't work out. Let me try someone else. Like, shoot, that's like 2 men a year. Like, girl, I don't have time for that. So I'm really trying to knock things out. Honestly, some women prefer working on their career, and I don't want to be married to their 30 something. No, hell no, not for me. For me personally, my goal in my life thing has always been, I want to be a mom and I want to be a wife. And those are what's important to me. Some women are I want to be CEO of a Fortune 500 company, and love can wait and all that. It can't wait for me. Like, what's important to me is being a mom and having a family and being a nurturer. So the men said they're going to be a provider. I'm going to be a nurturer, like whatever. That's what's important to me. So I need to be acting and like having men and moving forward in that direction. And I'm 26. I don't have that time to just waste on one guy anymore. Like, the clock is ticking. And back in the day, like, our parents and everyone, they were dating multiple people before they met their like one person. So like, that's one of the things for me personally, like why I'm that way. But I've also noticed the more guys I date or talk to, I really realize things that I like, things that I don't like, and learn about myself in the process and learn about them. And I'm able to be like, okay, you know what? I need a guy who can provide this. I need a guy who can give me consistency. I need a man who is going to have me as a priority in his life. If he wants to say he is healing or working on himself, okay, that's great. But I need someone who's going to factor in time in his life for me. So like, I'm just learning a lot about myself when it comes to dating. And I feel like the different type of people you date, and I don't mean type as in you change your type. I mean like everyone's different. So the different people you talk to, I feel like at that point you realize more about, okay, this is who I want to be with. This is who I don't. This is what I like. And it just helps you narrow down what you need from your relationship. And I think it's really important to sit down and write out some things you notice from past relationships. I'm not a relationship person, like advice, but this is just stuff I've noticed for myself. Okay. And also we need to understand that dating does not mean sleeping with everyone, all these people. And honestly, that kind of helps you a little bit when you're dating, you're not, yeah. I know that's a huge misconception that you're just racking up body counts, girl. No, you're not. That's not what we're here to talk about. The next part of why you need a roster is it helps you avoid attachment. I don't know if it's just a woman thing or what it is, but us females, man, let me tell you something. We get attached to a guy like really fast. And for us, like we meet someone that we're talking to up front, he seems nice, he seems great. We're gonna go ahead and cut everyone off. Well, guess what, sis? He's not doing that. He has his squad, his roster that the girls he's still narrowing out or still looking. There's a guy I was talking to and he still got his Hinge account. You know, like I'm saying, they're still looking and they're open about it. So just because you met someone and you do like him and you want to see where it can go, he's still looking at his options and you need to be doing the same thing. Because I don't know what it is about us, like we will get to the point where we just start acting quote unquote crazy, like you really like him and you, girl, you know what I'm saying. You be acting out of character. We act out of character. And I felt like when you're dating multiple people, it gives you more ability to spread out your time and your like urgency and whatever it is that you do, it spreads it out, because if you're giving all of it to one person, it can be a lot. So when you're talking to multiple guys, it's kind of like, okay, I'm talking to him. Now I'm talking to him. Now I'm talking to him. Like throughout the week, you're not like, I want to see you today and I want to see you tomorrow and the next day and the day after that and the day after that. Cause he don't want to see you all that many times. You know what I'm saying? Like not in the beginning, not when it's like a month in, he doesn't want to. He wants to still his same routine. But we know too, like when we link with people, like our feelings get involved. We start liking them. We know how it goes. So to help me, for me personally, what helps me and helps my friends, like we've been talking about this, we've been in this process together in with building the roster, is the more men we communicate with, the less likely we are to just give our all and just be like overly like with the one guy. And it is important, for instance, if we're exclusive or we're having the discussion about being exclusive, but guess what, we're not, we're dating and he's still dating, so guess what, you need to be dating too. I've noticed too, like I don't know, it helps me be a little bit more too mysterious a little bit, because I've noticed the more open I am to a guy, the more I'm just like all in up front, like early on. Sometimes they like to chase, they like the prowl, they like all that. Also too, it may not work out, and so that way you didn't waste your time, right? Because when one person drops off the roster and it doesn't work out with him, it's okay, you still got 3 other people that you are still communicating with, or 2, whatever, and you can just add more people in, fill them in as time goes on. Because like my friend will talk about it, she's like, oh my god, this is so overwhelming talking to so many guys at once. Like this girl would download Hinge, get 1 or 2 guys that she's texting and delete it. And I'm like, you're deleting the whole account, is crazy. But like, why are we girl, why are we deleting the account? Like she'll delete the entire account. For me, I'm not deleting nothing, but it can be overwhelming. So I suggest like transitioning guys in, guys through if it gets like overwhelming. But you need that roster for that stability of like helping you not be overly attached to a guy like early on. Cause I don't fake the funk. I know you feel the same way I do, okay? And also it becomes easier for you to cut guys off. Because a lot of times when you talk to someone, you kind of like him. And it's not even that you're afraid of being alone, but you just like the vibe of like, I feel like your relationships and your friendships are 2 different type of relationships, right? So when I have like my friendships, what we talk about and the like level of comfort I get from them is completely different than the level of comfort or like intimacy I get from a guy. And intimacy is other things, and of course just sex. So for me, the relationships are just different, just like they are just with my platonic guy friends. The relationships are different. And so a lot of times we enjoy what we have with a guy, and it's hard to cut him off, because it's like, damn, like, but I like this. I like talking to him. I like doing this with him. I like spending the night or hanging out once a week or whatever it is. And it's hard because you don't want to go back to kind of like quote unquote being alone in that aspect. So you let them slide. You let them, you let them get away with bull. And even sometimes it's not even as simple as like just like literally cutting them off. Sometimes what ends up happening is just like you need to like set the tone and just be like, you know what, I'm not going to text him today. Like he needs to learn his lesson. He needs to see where I stand. And sometimes we won't do that because it's the only person you're talking to. But if you're talking to a couple of guys, you can let that man know, like, put some respect on your name up front. And I feel like it's a lot easier to do that. Or if they simply for real need to be cut off, it's easier for you to cut them off because you're like, dude, whatever. I have these other dudes I'm talking to right now. Like, I don't need it. You can think you're the prettiest girl in the world. And if you don't have like other guys lined up, sometimes it's hard to feel that way. So those things are just very helpful. And to me, those are just like the very basics, very upfront, college level 100 as to why you need a roster. Next is you need to, after you know, there's no deciding, you need a roster. I'm telling you, need it. So get it. Okay, next is figuring out what is your end goal. Okay, because that is really important. You have to figure out what your end game is, what your end goal is, and what you want. So my friend that I was talking about, she and I were two different things. Okay, me, I'm playing for the ring. My franchise, my team, we're all about getting that ring, getting that championship. You know what I'm talking about? The one right there next to the pinky, down on bended knee in the rain. I'm talking about give me my ring. That's what we're here for. Okay. So I want people on my squad, people on my team, on my roster whose goal is also the ring. They want that championship. They want that ring as well. Now, my friend, she wants a summer fling. She wants something fun. So she is dealing with guys who, play basketball at LA Fitness or play basketball like 24 hours. They're wrecked. They're hooping. They're having fun. It's a cool vibe. They don't really care about the ring either. So it's okay. But the thing is, we can't mix those together. I can't have guys who are LA Fitness level just chilling. I'm just having fun with my dudes. Like, this is what we do. We play pickup basketball when their goal is not to win a championship. Their goal is not to, we're talking NBA and LA Fitness. Like, please know the difference. You see what I'm saying? So for me, you have to know your end goal. Because if I'm talking to a bunch of guys who are just wanting summer flings too, who just want things for fun, they're not looking for anything, they're not dating for marriage, that's a problem. You're getting nowhere, Kennedy. So you have to know your end goal. You want people on your roster who align with where your program is headed, to your vision, to what it is that you want, to people want the same things. And the thing is that you have to realize, just because you have 5 guys who are all, wanting marriage, does not mean that it will work out with all 5 of them. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's why you need a roster. Like, just because he wants the same thing my best friend's calling me. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. My friend called me, and honestly, I think at this rate, it's been about a couple hours. Still trying to breathe, and I think that honestly, I'm probably preaching to myself in this episode for real. But I'm sorry. I was saying, just because a man is looking for marriage doesn't mean it'll work out. So that is why you need a roster. Because when you have a roster, you just have other people there and you're able to like kind of cycle people in and out, because it's going to take a minute. Like, if you have actual standards and really want something with someone, it's going to take you a minute to find that person that you have that spark with, that match with, or whatever the case may be. So that is the importance of it. The thing that makes having a roster not so terrible or just feel like a waste of your time is when you have a roster and you're with someone and they align with your goals and align with what it is that you want, and it doesn't work out. It doesn't feel as bad as it does when you are with someone who literally does not want the same thing as you. It does not align. It doesn't work out, like all that. Then you feel crappy at the end and you're like, God, what the heck was that? And you're upset, but you aren't usually as bad when things, when you're dealing with someone who you align with. Honestly, I mean, relationships can be scary. And I feel like when you really think about it, I don't know, maybe this is just me. I am like kind of terrified of relationships, if I'm being honest, and just really thinking about what they are, what they take, the really amount of like trust that it requires. But I feel that when I'm with the right person and I've met the person, I like them, I feel okay with them, that I'll be ready and I'll be okay enough to be in that relationship with them, but I feel as though right now I feel that way because there isn't someone that I've had that connection, that spark with, that I'm ready to take that step with right now. So I think that's kind of some of where that's coming from. And so it's kind of easier just kind of hiding behind like, oh my God, none of these men are good. None of the, but it's like, are you in the right places? Are you dealing with the right people to really kind of find that person? Which goes into our next point, is that where to find them. So the biggest thing is making sure that you are in the same spaces as the people that you want to be with. I won't say all clubs. I feel like it truly depends on which clubs you go to, but I've been out in Dallas recently back in June, and the places that I was at, it was cool because I went with my friends, but they were none of the guys there were the guys that I would ever end up dating. So it became very like just depressing. And also it's even like sometimes the girls, they're not girls that I would be friends with. So I feel like with those two instances, it's all about being in the right place and being around the right people, being in the areas of what it is that you're looking for. For me, I've noticed what's helped is kind of like the brunch places. Like when I would go to brunch with Kinsey, we'd go to brunch out here in Dallas for game days. The brunch spots, I would find like a lot of kind of like cool black men, like guys or whatever, that I would like talk to, or even just like really want to get to know, or they had brought something to the table. It depends on where you're at. And even like the bars, and I know bars, people hear the word bars and think, oh my God, no, like for real, like it's a certain bar vibe. I went to one this weekend and it was pretty nice. So I mean, like, I think the spaces that you're in really factor into the kind of men that you're going to be around that's going to help you find those. And then there's dating apps. So because of my job, if you're new here, I'm a flight attendant. So I am never home, and I'm definitely not home on the weekends and stuff where, everyone's outside. So for me, it's hard to meet people, although I prefer meeting people in person. It's just easier because like when you meet someone in person, you're able to catch their vibe, know their vibe, and automatically know. But dating apps is the second best thing. I have always been a Tinder girl, like when I was in college and stuff, and it's cool, but Tinder is draining, girl. It is tiring trying to find someone. And so I recently got on Hinge this year because I was on TikTok, the TikTok girls, and I seen a girl talking about like, oh, how she met this professional athlete on there, and like now they're married, and she's talking like how like this great life she lives, and he treats her the way she's supposed to. All this, so I was like, maybe I go on Hinge. I've never been on there before, girl. Hinge is where it's at because just like you need to have on your scouting report, Hinge lets you have preferences and requirements on everything. You have like literally non-negotiables. So it goes down to their height, where they went to college, their occupation, their ethnicity, if they have children, do they want children, their religion, um, their political views, do they smoke weed, are they vaccinated, what is their sign, do they have pets. I mean, it is everything. And then it has like all these like little prompts. I would say that has been an easier and best experience I've had on Hinge than any dating site because it seems more crafted. You can even put like if what non-negotiables. I think there's only a few that you can put like on the free one. Like ethnicity is one that you can put as non-negotiable. I love my black man, so that's what mine is, non-negotiable. Of course, age, you can put that. Like, I mean, it's like very specific, and so it makes it easier, narrows more down like the kind of guys that are in your area. And I would say Hinge is good. And then I even worked with a girl who she met her man on there, and then it was some other people I've seen. Like a lot of people meet people on Hinge, people meet people on Tinder and like Bumble too. I'm not a Bumble person. I tried it like literally 2 seconds and I didn't work out and I cut off. But I would say, yeah, like Hinge, if you're gonna do a dating app, for now, those are like the only three I really know. That one's a really good one to really kind of branch out and meet people to put on your roster. I've been in my real soft girl era and like wanting to be courted and go on dates and like be with like actually decent grown men. And so, like I said, I like being able to see, oh, it tells you what their hometown is. Oh, even tells you like what their relationship preference is. Like, what are they looking for? If they're figuring out their relationship goals, like please get out of here. Or if they're looking for long term, a life partner, if they're looking for short term, open to long term, open to short. You can put if they're into monogamy, polygamy, like I mean, it has everything on there, you guys. Or religion, that's the other one that you can put like a non-negotiable on. So mine's like Christian, that's it. And that's that. But yeah, so I mean, it's like it's intense and I think it's good. And so you don't waste your time as much on there when you're looking. People can put voice messages, they can put pictures and things like that. It's all like doctors, like a lot of like decent good men are on there. So Hinge, I recommend if you're gonna get into a dating app, to is another good place, like I said, to get into that point. Like I said, I'm on there, I'm trying to find grown men, I'm trying to find men who are looking for the same things I want. It's easy, it says it right there. We can go out, we can, go get drinks, have dinner, whatever. Next is going to be the whole how to actually make the roster and the scouting report and the depth chart. Okay, these are like very important. These are like our final steps. So number one, I've talked about this on every episode about building a roster. It is important for you to have men of quality. Okay, so it's not cool just to have a bunch of losers on your squad. Like, you want men of quality. Okay, you want guys who are going to actually be something. Okay, you can't just get a bunch of no ones and be like, well, I like this one guy, but the rest of them are like assholes or losers. Like, for what? What do you have them for? So you have to start off first with men equality. So after you've done your in-person, some people like Instagram too as a dating thing, in-person, Instagram, Hinge, whatever you're dating, whatever you find these men. After you narrow down like the men of quality, because even if they have quality, they still could be assholes or terrible people. Okay, but as long as they got the basics, okay, you can start there. Next, I go into prayer and talking to God. And that has actually helped me a lot with guys. Anytime I meet anyone new, I And I kind of pray it over and over often if I think I'm kind of liking someone and stuff, just like really talking to God. There was a prayer that Janaea had sent me and I used it and it's insanely it worked. And then I also like add my own to it and I pray for whatever it is that I need help with. So like for me, like discernment, understanding when it's God, understanding when sometimes it's just I'm just being extra and I'm tripping and or maybe, sometimes I'm just like, you're just being picky and you're just being extra, like really understanding like, oh, see, I prayed about it. God sent it this. What God said, no, it's not. That's just you, really practicing like discernment and hearing and understanding what he wants. Cause like my biggest thing and the thing is for you guys too, we don't want to deal with any more trauma, any more issues, nothing more added to our life. Things cannot work out with someone and it just move on peacefully. Like that can happen. That's a thing, So I want that for you guys. And I think that's important. Okay. So prayer is important and talking to God if you are a religious person and it sounds crazy, but talk to him about it. Ask him for help when you meet people. Tell him to show you who they are, and that's what I do. So after I go through that, I am now going to the scouting report. So one thing I started doing, okay, if you're meeting guys, save their if you're doing a roster, you need to save their contacts and you need to save their contact photos because I'd be forgetting who they are and what they look like. Or you're texting the wrong person showing up like this is not the man I thought I was meeting. Okay. So say their names, the contacts, and inside the contacts, the notes bar at the bottom, that's where I add things. Okay, so I like to build trends. It's not a tick for tat thing, like they don't really know about it, but I like to add in there things that I'm noticing about them, so that way I can see if any patterns or habits are forming. Because people show you one thing and you want to pay attention. Also, like when I do my scouting report, which I've gone over that plenty of times, I do a scouting report. With that, I send those like to my friends. It's got like all the like information, basically like the Hinge already does it for you if you go on Hinge. But it's got where they're from, their occupation, their name. You have a collage of like more pictures of them, things like that. That just kind of lets them know just who this person is. Because sometimes you need people in your circle, like your friends, they know you, or your sister, your brother, whatever. They know you and they can help you kind of like see things that you can't see, flaws, things that you're not understanding. So I like to keep them in the loop. They're good, voices of God here on earth, I like to send those out to my friends, my scouting reports, The new thing I'm adding now is my depth chart. Okay. Depth charts, what they're used in, I just know for sure for NFL, is it tells you kind of how, like, it's the depth of a team, it's going to tell you all the strings. And so how I personally do it is like, I have categories and I like grade men based off their categories and based off this, who is in first, who's in second, who is doing this or that. It helps me, and in the categories can be whatever it is that your needs are. That's how it goes. What your needs are, you're going to have a category for it, and you're going to put how that man performs in that category, and it's going to help you kind of narrow things down. And some of the examples, if you need any, is kind of like his timeliness, how he texts back, plans dates, or is he courting you? Is he trying to see you? When it keeps track of just everything and the things that you need and want in a relationship. Okay. And it helps because that goes into my next point. These two are new things I'm adding, is your franchise player. And so when you're trying to choose who your franchise player is, you need to know all these stats and the way this man is. So if you don't know what a franchise player is, I'm sure it's like this for all teams, like all leagues, but in the NFL, you have a franchise. Each team has one franchise player. They're the player that their contract is about to expire. They want more time to figure out like creating a contract, like a 2-year, 3-year contract, whatever it is, a multi-year contract, bottom line, and how much money they're able to give them, everything. So like you're working on the terms with them, but you don't want them to go to another team. So what you do is you put a franchise tag on them. It's basically like how I think of it. Hey, I really like you. I think we work well together. I love you, part of our program. We need to crunch some numbers, figure out how much we can pay you, how things can, work out in our partnership. So I'm gonna give you this franchise tag. It gives us a little bit, time to decide and work through things. I personally, so that's how I look at it. And I think that's the same way, like when it comes to the relationships, a lot of times people have like starting fives and they're, who's your starter, your point guard, whatever. My franchise player, how I like to categorize it, is the guy that is number one right now in my life and my list. He's kind of doing everything he needs. That's a person that's heading towards getting that contract to like being serious, like in a relationship, exclusive, committed, or whatever the case may be. Like, so that's my franchise tag player. Okay, that's the guy I put the tag player, put the tag on. The depth chart just helps me keep track of who's like deserving of it. But the biggest thing is everyone has to know that anybody is able to be replaced. Okay, at any moment, because I feel when men think their spots are secured, or they think that they got it in the bag and they don't have to, care or court you or work anymore because they think that like, oh, she's good. They slack off, and that's when other men on the squad move up. Do you see what I'm saying? So you can't let them think that, and you can't let them think that they have a secured spot because they're the franchise player. Like, don't even tell them, to be honest. I regret that. Don't tell them that they're a franchise player. And also, do not over romanticize them. For me personally, it's hard because when I'm trying to get to know someone, and now that I'm dating with intention and dating to be in like a committed relationship, to be married and all that, I'm like thinking about, how is he as a dad? How would he be as a husband? I think, like I should, but then I'm constantly thinking about like, oh man, he's so cute. He's gonna be a great, you start romanticizing him, and you don't see like what's in front of him. It's smart to, plan to see how things can work long term, but yeah, you gotta be a little bit careful with that one. So that's just pretty much the breakdown for you guys, honestly. It is just, first, you already realized why you need a roster. You need one. I'm telling you, you need one. It's not negotiable. Figure out your end game. Where is your program headed? What is the end goal? Like I said, mine is to get that ring. Okay. Also, navigate and figure out where you're going to find them. I know we want like men to come after us, and they should, but even if you're not comfortable shooting your shot at a man, like still be in a place to have men of quality shoot their shot at you. Okay. You're going to make, that scouting report and that depth chart, and you're going to figure out who your franchise player is. And the biggest thing with the franchise player is it helps you keep track of just one person kind of at a time. You still have those other guys that you're maybe going on dates with, getting to know, but you don't have to worry about only seeing that person and being with that person, all the time and things like that. Being with multiple people, like you can hang out with that one person. That one person is the person that you want to go see the new movies with and things like that. So I really hope that made sense. I hope it helped. Next week, I'll have another episode for you guys. I have some guests coming up that I'm excited to talk to you, excited to bring them on. I don't really ever say this, but I hope you guys will pray for me. I've just this week has kind of been a rough week for me. And right now, like I'm recording this the night before the Friday, so Thursday, I'm really kind of going through it, honestly. And I've gotten very triggered recently. So I'm doing my best to be in control of myself and my surroundings. I'm not crying, I promise. And just showing up as the woman of who I want to be, and being okay with the consequences of changing my patterns and my ways and trying to want better for myself. So yes, today alone has just been very draining to me. So please pray for me. I will see you guys next week. As always, the podcast is KC Locker Room Talk on Instagram. You guys can get the merch on the website. The link's always in the bio, or it's in every link in every bio on all my websites too. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.